managed to get 12 into this jar once before I sort of got bored. So I don't know how many I've got here. I think it's more than 12, but I'll be definitely bored before then. So let's top that up just a little bit. There we go. I'll put one more in there. So what you've probably figured out what's going on here. If you know what's going on, this is of course a jar full of liquid nitrogen, and liquid nitrogen boils at about minus 200 degrees Celsius. Air boils at about minus 169 degrees Celsius, so that little bit of air inside each balloon shrinks down to less than a milliliter, 22 liters to 1 mil, for example. So this turns out to be an incredibly convenient way to transport balloons to a party. You can shrink them down, and when you get there, you can reinflate them when you get where you're going. So we'll let those go to work there. One of the other questions I always get with this is what happens if I stick my hand into the liquid nitrogen. And it turns out really not a whole lot, unless you hold it there for a very long time. And I had a student helping me in the morning show when we were doing this in the morning section, and she for some reason wasn't interested in finding out how long she could hold her hand in the liquid nitrogen there. So I do have a way of trying to demonstrate what in fact would happen if you held your hand in the liquid nitrogen for a long time. And of course, since we're mostly water, you find something that's made out of mostly water, and you can put it into the liquid nitrogen for a little while, and it might give you kind of a clear idea of what might be going on here. So we'll let that cool down, and if you did hold your fingers in there long enough, you might find that you didn't have much use for it after a while. So let's try that. Well, let's try that again. That's good. It turns out the janitors don't really like it a lot when I try this demos. But again, there's your finger on liquid nitrogen if you're interested to see what happens. Oh, let's do these balloons again. We've done it once, but I kind of like doing them. So. Well, we need more nitrogen there, don't we? There, that's better. Alan's struggling a little. He's not quite happy. Yeah, watch your feet there in the front row with that. It carries a bit of a bite if you get it in the shoe. Let's not wait for 12, that's enough. Well, let's see what else we can throw in there and get going here. We can get some, well, let's start with the mushrooms. This is the world's lamest way to make a salad. Throw those in there. We got some grape tomatoes that we'll throw in there. I got some raspberries, which was... Well, there's a lot guy in there. Of course, this liquid nitrogen, I'll do this over here. This liquid nitrogen is the absolute stuff of very cheap B horror movies. Let's fill this guy up here a little bit more. And so if you put a little bit of liquid nitrogen in some hot water, you get that very classic cheap horror movie effect coming out of there. Don't that up for a minute, let that cool down. Well, yeah, that's something else you can do. It turns out this liquid nitrogen is pretty handy. On a warm day, if you need a way to cool off, you can actually make a bit of a shower out of the liquid nitrogen and kind of cool things down. It works better if you're not wearing a long sleeve, but that's okay. Make a bit of a liquid nitrogen shower there. Let's have a look here. Let's see what's going on in here now. Let's see what happens to that mushroom.
Do it again.
I told you the janitors don't like this one very much. That's all. There's that raspberry.
Oh, that's fine.
Sorry, did I get you in the audience there? There's that tomato. What do we got here? Some more raspberries. Those raspberries work really well, actually. I like that. That's the first time I tried a raspberry, and they worked great, so now I'm just going to throw them around all afternoon. Let's try another mushroom. Let's put some more in here as well. The other thing this turns out to be kind of handy for as well. Let's say you're off to the cottage or some such thing. You realize, oh damn it, I forgot my hammer. If you have some liquid nitrogen and a banana, you can make a pretty effective hammer. So the other thing you can do is I also get the question, well, what happens if I pour the liquid nitrogen on my hand? And it turns out not much. You can actually pour it on your hand and it just runs off and disappears completely. So it works very, very well so what I'm going to do with this, I've topped this up here, I got enough in it for now. What I'm going to do is I'll go up the aisles here, I might have to stop and refill. And if you want to feel what liquid nitrogen feels like on your hand, you stick your hand out. Make sure it's a hand that you don't have any rings on, because if it gets under that ring, you'll get some serious frostbite. If you've got a long sleeve, pull it back. And please make sure you're not wearing white cotton gloves. Someday, not today, but some other day when you see me, ask me the story about the mine and the liquid nitrogen.